Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
We're back at you in Gloves Off. I'm Paul Buitron. I'm here with Attorney Ben Beverage. Good morning. How are we doing?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great in South Texas. I know you're more towards Houston, Galveston area. How's that over there?
It's great, man. The weather's about 65 right now. It feels great outside. The sun's shining. So I can't complain. Kind of in between fall and winter. It's a great time of the year. How about you? How's things going down there?
Absolutely. It's going to probably get up to about in the mid 80s today. It's about 65 right now, about the same. The sun's out. It's going to be a nice day. And, for the folks out there, you guys are tuning in. I'm here with Attorney Beverage, and we're going to be touching base on interference with child custody, something that happens to many parents many times, sometimes almost every other weekend. And what happens in Texas? Counselor, here in Texas, many of the district attorneys are not taking charge of interference with child custody. What usually happens is a father or mother goes up and tries to pick up their child, and they're denied access to them, and they call the police, and the police come out there, and usually they say it's a civil matter. We can't do anything about it. Can you explain and expand on what's going on?
Yeah, so they're partially right. If you deny visitation, court-ordered visitation to your kids, it is a civil matter. You can't address it in civil court. You can go pay an attorney, several hundred to a few $1,000s to get it enforced. But it's also a criminal matter. The Texas Penal Code 2503 makes denying someone their court-ordered visitation rights to their kids a felony. And I think the legislature is probably well-intentioned when they put that law into place, but I guess one unintended consequence that they didn't foresee is that the district attorneys don't like to lock up custodial parents. They don't like to give custodial parents a felony. Most custodial parents are single mothers, right? And district attorneys are elected officials, and they don't want to be seen as someone who's going after single mothers, throwing them in jail and giving them felonies. That's, at least the response that we get from a lot of district attorneys. So, across Texas, it's just pretty much not enforced, unfortunately.
Right. When you have something, because here in Laredo, it's kind of changed in the last 2 years. Okay, we've been talking, and we have good conversations with our district attorney, and it ended up being three consecutive. Now it's three. If you file three offense reports, then they'll go ahead and send a letter to the mom, and then after that, then they'll arrest. And now what we did was with State Representative both Richard Raymond and Tracy King, and behind our district attorney Chilo Alanis, we asked the city with several city council and our city manager if we can do some type of resolution so that the police can actually give a fine or a tariff towards when that happens. So they all of a sudden they have to go. So I think that's heading up to legislation this time around, and to give 2503 a little bit more bite. So before incarceration, a municipality can go ahead and say, okay, we got 3 strikes, so the third one you're going to get incarcerated, but you got two tickets that you're going to get beforehand. And I think in a way I like that, because in a way it kind of eases the pain on a lot of parents that are that are going in. And it also gives something that's already jotted down that, you know, that you can fix in the future under the court. But touch on some basis of what happens when that occurs, and you're going back to court because your rights have been infringed upon.
So you're talking about when you're going back to court, like when you hire an attorney and
Right.
go through the right. So yeah, if ultimately the police aren't enforcing the law, you know, you got to go the civil route, and you can either go pro se or hire an attorney. And the most general action that most people go for is they file for contempt of the court order. Anytime the court orders something like possession and someone doesn't comply with the court order, you can file for contempt. You have to show that there's a valid court order in place, that they violated the court order. And the remedies you can get your attorney fees paid. You can get the other parent put on probation, the other parent put in jail. You can get the other parent to pay a fine. You can get your time back with your kids. Now, just about everything I listed is up to the discretion of the court, you know, and I don't know how many times I hear that someone hires an attorney to enforce for contempt, and the judge just kind of scolds the other party, gives you a little makeup time, and then the party that got denied access to their kid is out those attorney fees. The really frustrating thing is if you look at the other side of the issue, someone not paying child support, you know, first of all, everyone knows those people will go to jail, right? And the other thing is that if a non-custodial parent is not paying child support, the custodial parent can hire an attorney to take the non-custodial parent to court to enforce by contempt. And since you can put someone in jail for not paying child support, you can put someone in jail for not paying attorney fees to enforce child support. So the judge will tell that non-custodial parent, pay her attorney fees right now, his or her attorney fees right now, or you're going to jail. And that doesn't happen with possessory rights. You know, if you're denied access to your kids, the judge is not going to tell your ex, pay his attorney fees or you're going to jail. And I think that really has an effect on the willingness of attorneys to take these cases and how much they charge, you know. So there are some other civil actions you can take that are less common. For instance, if someone's denying you access to your kids, court-ordered access to your kids, you can sue them for interference for possessory rights. You can get monetary damages and tens of thousands of dollars and attorney fees. You can sue them for breach of fiduciary duty. As a parent, you have a fiduciary duty to your children to avoid harm to your children, to provide ordinary care to your children. And if you're interfering with their relationship with the other parent, you're breaching that fiduciary duty. You can sue them for intentional infliction of emotional distress, you know, and if the other parent is telling your kids lies about you and writing it or saying it, you can sue them for defamation also. So a lot of times you don't see these in family court because family court attorneys, they're not really, they don't take these types of cases. You know, they just want to stand in front of the judge, make their argument, and get a ruling. These types of cases are typically jury cases. More trial attorneys take them. You know, it's a bit more expensive. But I think those other actions, I think you're better off going for those than going for contempt. It gives you a lot more leverage, and you have a jury. You know, I like to say they're a lot more human than judges are. You know, they're a lot more sympathetic. And so, yeah, there's lots of different civil actions, but all of those cost money, you know, a lot more money than having a police officer enforce the law, you know. So
I was going to ask you, is there any way you know, because you see the police officers not How can obeying a law, right? Is there any thing that you can go after the police department? Has it been done?
Typically, I mean, yeah, people have tried it, but typically first responders, they have kind of immunity, and really the only time that they can be held liable for a response is if they respond and they make the situation worse, you know, and then they can, you can get them, there's some liability they're exposed to. But typically, if they don't respond, they typically can't be held liable, you know, and
Sure.
if they do respond and the situation doesn't get materially worse, they can't be held responsible. But it's a pretty tough barrier to hold them liable for not enforcing the law, fortunately.
Because it's up to their discretion. No, I just put that out there just in case people out there were wondering. So basically, the other types of, what were they again, for those that missed it?
The civil actions, yeah, so there's interference. Yeah, there's interference with possessory rights. There's breach of fiduciary duty, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and then, you know, if they're saying things to your children that are untrue, that are defamatory towards you, you can sue them for defamation also. And I've seen, there's cases out there where you have a divorce case or some sort of family law case, and all these issues are all going on in the same case, you know, so these can be brought in the family law context.
It's good to know, because, you know, there's a lot of, this happens, interference with child custody. It happens throughout Texas, at least 70% every other weekend. So it's something that's big. It is a problem. It is a problem that we need to fix. I think, what would you say would the remedy be? Would you think the remedy would be 50-50 parenting or co-parenting to start off with?
I think that helps tremendously. I really can't think of any cases I've heard of where someone has had 50-50 parenting and you're dealing with this, because I think when you have, you know, the typical standard visitation, if you're denying someone access to their kids, you're denying a visit, basically a visitor 4 days a month with their kids. I mean, it's more than that, but that's kind of one way to look at it. Whereas if you have 50-50 and you're denying someone access to their kids, you know, you're denying these children, or you're denying the other parent 50% of the time with their kid. I mean, it's a much more egregious crime, I think, when you're looking at it. So I do think 50-50 will help. I mean, and there's been studies to show that when 50-50 is ordered, even against one parent's wishes, parental cooperation increases, parental conflict decreases, parental alienation decreases. I mean, all these problems seem to go away, you know, because currently, under the standard possession order, you pretty much have a primary parent and a non-primary parent. And it's kind of like the non-primary parent feels like they get the shaft, which they do, and they're upset about it. And then the primary parent, they feel that they've been given this, you know, the court has told them, you know, you're the best parent. You're this awesome parent. And so they feel they're up on high and they can do no wrong. Sometimes, you know, not all cases, but you have this imbalance there that I think just leads to conflict, and it leads some cases to one parent thinking that they can just do whatever they want, you know. So I think 50-50 would help a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to tell parents that are going through this, what else they can do, or what should be the first steps, that if your visitations have been denied, what are the steps you should take?
I mean, you got to document everything. Typically, the non-custodial parent is ordered to pick up the child from the custodial parent's house and drop them back off also. But in order for the custodial parent to be in violation, you actually have to go over there and try to get your child. It's not a violation. You can't go to court and say, my ex told me she wasn't going to give me the kids. And well, did you go over there to get the kids? Well, no, I didn't. So you got to do your part. Even if you know you're not going to get your kids, you're going to get denied, still go over there, get let down, file a police report, get the police to come out and give you a report so you can document it. If you're meeting at like a central location somewhere, I recommend, like if you're at a gas station, going inside and buying something, get the receipt with the time. It's all about documentation. And then normally parents that are going through this are going through other issues also with their ex. And so it really comes down to documentation. And I get a lot of clients who just have a ton of documentation. They share a Google Drive with me that just has hundreds of files and folders, and that's great. That's how I was, and it's the way to go. But I think it's really important to take the additional step to organize all that evidence. There's a program out there called Tiki-Taki, and it makes timelines, and you can take all your evidence and put it into a timeline, and each event on a timeline, you can tag a picture or a photo. But I really suggest organizing your evidence. If you represent yourself, it's going to be crucially important. If you have an attorney, it's going to save you a ton of money if you do this instead of asking your attorney to do this. And no one can organize and build your case better than you can. So I think one of the key things that a lot of people are leaving off is organizing your evidence in a very meaningful way. And that's what I would kind of impress on everyone here today.
Well, thank you. Folks, you've seen it. You've heard the outcomes of the best ways to go about for dealing with interference with child custody. And if you need to get a hold of Counselor Ben Beverage, how can they get a hold of you if they're in the Houston area?
In the Houston area, my website is beveragelawfirm.com. My Facebook page, Beverage Law Firm. It's just Beverage Law Firm. My email is ben@beveragelawfirm.com. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out. People send questions to my Facebook page, and I'll answer them anonymously on the page, So I only represent, for the most part, non-custodial parents, unless there's really good cause to go the other way. And very passionate about representing non-custodial parents. I'm very involved in the push for equal parenting. I know just about everyone in Texas who's involved in the push for equal parenting and to enforce 2503. And I try to be the attorney for non-custodial parents that I wish I had several years ago,
Absolutely. And that's basically where it comes from. And I want to thank you for doing your job and standing up for it, because this is a niche that there's a lot of great attorneys out there, but there's a lot of them that just kind of like, until it happens to them, then they start understanding what's going on. And people need to understand, it's where you get tested. You can have a great degree, have a great education, but once you get up there in front and you have to fight it out, that's when it separates the good from the bad. And if you have passion behind you, you have that desire, you're going to do great. And I want to thank you once more. And yes, we're all going to be together with that push for equal parenting, which is not only for us, it's for those that come behind us. They're still, I have a son, I have 2 daughters. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I do. I have 2 sons, and I think it would just kill me to see them going through what I went through. I mean, obviously for them it'd be terrible, but I'd have to relive those emotions and thank you for what you do. There's tons of non-custodial parents in Texas. It's almost the biggest demographic that is completely ignored by everyone. It's kind of the sleeping dragon. And I mean, thanks to people like you and the different social media sites, those non-custodial parents, their issues are starting to be heard. and slowly the representatives are starting to listen to them. But you know, it takes people like you and groups to make an effort to get the information out and to get that grassroots sentiment flowing, you know. So I thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you once more. And again, we're running out of time. You have a great weekend, and we'll touch base on some other issues later on if it come up. If you think of something, you know, and we can discuss it for folks out there on the common cause and take it from there.
Cool.
All right. Well, next
Sounds
time.
good. Thanks for having
Peace.
me. Bye.
Today, in America, more than 5.5 million men, women, and children train in a martial art regularly. Buitron Academy has been serving Laredo for over 30 years now. Our adult classes are geared for producing the best in you, teaching you street-ready techniques. With the arts of Savate and Kinpo, you'll learn the traditions of these sciences of combat, as passed down professor to student.
Hello everybody, my name is Senior Grandmaster Alfredo Bandalan, owner of BDP, Bandalan the Siparis. I'd like to say a few words on Grandmaster Buitrón. He's a man of great integrity, a man of great knowledge of martial art. He's a master of Savate and master of Eskrima. He's a man that can help you to become what you want to be. He's a man that teaches people how to be somebody in life, how to work the world, how to be happy in this world. He's a man that I can say holds many integrity as well as in martial art. But I'd like to say this man has a radio station, does hunting all over the world, and he works with all kind of people, all walks of life. And all I want to say, that Buitron is a man that can help people to be somebody in life. I'd like to say aloha, thank you.
I am Grandmaster Michael Duran of Original Hurones Criminal Federation here in Vallejo, California. Professor Paul Buitron is an accomplished martial artist who has developed an understanding that as a caretaker in our martial arts, it is his responsibility to keep the art alive and in depth. He acknowledged that it is the students that give the art life. I hold his friendship and his continuing accomplishments in the art in the most highest regard. Thank you.
Come train at the best kept secret of Laredo. Give us a call for your free evaluation at 956-401-4868 or check out our website at savate.biz. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook.